She was just a mother trying to protect her baby. But when cruel hands struck her innocent pup, her cries echoed louder than words. Tears rolled down her face, capturing a pain no animal should endure. What happened next would shake an entire town and leave hearts shattered. On the quiet edge of town, a mother dog had found her safe haven. Beneath the shade of tall trees and beside a dusty old path, she made a simple home for herself and her only pup. Life wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The warmth of the sun, the sound of chirping birds, and the soft nuzzle of her little one at her side every morning. The pup bounded with clumsy joy, chasing butterflies and wagging his tiny tail as if the world were nothing but wonder. His mother watched patiently, her eyes glowing with pride. When he stumbled, she nudged him back up. When he grew tired, she curled around him, offering warmth and comfort only a mother could give. Together, they were inseparable. Neighbors walking by often paused to smile at the sight. The pup nestled safely against his mother, both of them radiating innocence. No one could have imagined how quickly that peace would be shattered. But peace is fragile, and theirs did not last long. A group of local troublemakers had begun to notice the little pup on their way through the path. At first, it was only laughter and mocking gestures, harmless in appearance, but heavy with an edge that unsettled the mother. She would tense each time they came near, her ears stiff, her body shielding her pup. The boys tossed small stones in the dirt, never striking at first, only trying to startle. Their laughter echoed, sharp and unkind, while the pup cowered behind his mother's legs. She stood firm, a low growl in her throat, warning them to keep their distance. Her eyes said what her voice could not. "Stay away from my child." Still, the visits grew bolder. They lingered longer, their footsteps circling closer each day. The pup, too young to understand, wagged his tail nervously at the strangers. The mother knew better. She pressed him close against her side, heart pounding with dread. Something in her gut told her the worst was yet to come. It happened on a late afternoon, when the sun was sinking low and shadows stretched across the path. The mother dog and her pup were resting, the pup curled against her belly, when the group of boys returned. Their voices carried a cruel tone, louder than before, their laughter laced with malice. The mother immediately stood, her body tense, tail low, warning growl in her throat. One of them bent down, picked up a rock, and tossed it toward the pup. This time, it did not land harmlessly on the dirt. It struck the little one on the head. A sharp yelp of pain pierced the air as the pup stumbled, blood marking the stone beneath him. The mother lunged forward, barking desperately, but the boys only jeered louder. She circled her pup protectively, licking his wound frantically as tears welled in her eyes. Her cries weren't just barks. They were pleas, raw and heart-wrenching, the kind that carried the weight of despair. Passers-by froze, stunned by the sight, but the attackers only smirked, satisfied by the suffering they had caused. For the mother, every second of her baby's whimper was agony, and her helpless tears told the whole story. The world seemed to slow as the mother lowered herself beside her injured pup. Her body curled tightly around him, as though her embrace alone could shield him from pain. She licked the blood from his tiny head with trembling urgency, her eyes glistening with tears. Each whimper from her baby tore through her like a blade. People walking along the path began to stop. Some covered their mouths in shock, others whispered in disbelief. A mother dog crying, truly crying, for her injured pup was something no one could ignore. Her eyes lifted to the bystanders, wide and pleading, a silent cry for mercy. She couldn't speak, but the desperation in her gaze was louder than words. The troublemakers hesitated now, their cruel bravado faltering under the weight of so many eyes. Still, the mother did not move. She stayed planted beside her pup, every muscle trembling, yet refusing to abandon him. Her tears fell onto his fur like rain, each drop carrying the story of love, pain, and a plea for someone, anyone, to help last. One man from the growing crowd could no longer stand still. He pushed past the murmuring bystanders, his face set with anger. "Enough!" he shouted at the boys, his voice booming with authority. Startled, they stepped back, their mocking smiles fading. When Rex, the German shepherd at his side, barked sharply, the boys panicked and ran, their cruelty scattering with them. The man knelt beside the trembling mother dog and her pup. He reached out slowly, hands open, speaking softly so as not to startle her. "It's okay. You're safe now." She hesitated, her body still trembling, but his gentle tones soothed her fear. With cautious trust, she allowed him to lift the bleeding pup into his arms. The mother followed immediately, her paws quick on the dirt, her eyes never leaving her baby. She whimpered anxiously, circling him as he hurried toward his truck. She didn't need words to make her promise clear. Wherever her pup was taken, she would go too. For her, distance was unthinkable. Her love was stronger than fear. The truck screeched to a halt outside the nearest veterinary clinic. The man rushed inside, cradling the limp pup in his arms. The mother followed close behind, her nails clicking desperately on the tiled floor as she cried out, her voice echoing like a plea. The vet, already alerted, met them at the door and quickly carried the pup into the emergency room. But the mother was not allowed to follow. The door swung shut, leaving her outside with only muffled voices and hurried footsteps on the other side. She pressed her nose against the crack, whining softly, then sat down, her body trembling. Her chest rose and fell with quick breaths, and tears slipped silently down her muzzle. She refused food, refused water, her entire being focused only on the door that separated her from her baby. Inside, the battle for life was fierce. Tubes, gauze, and steady hands worked to stabilize the fragile pup. Every whimper that escaped the room sent the mother jolting to her feet. Hours passed, but she never moved far. Love anchored her there, stronger than fear, stronger than exhaustion. She would not give up until she knew her pup was safe. News of the attack spread quickly through town. Outrage rippled among neighbors, and soon the authorities were involved. Witnesses stepped forward, recounting the cruelty they had seen, their voices trembling with both anger and disbelief. The boys who had laughed at the pup's pain now found themselves facing consequences they never expected. Justice, slow but certain, had begun to move. The farmer who had once passed by with only a nod now stopped at the clinic daily, bringing food and blankets. Strangers offered donations to cover the pup's treatment. Some left notes taped to the door, messages of encouragement, prayers for the little one, and promises that kindness would outshine cruelty. The mother dog, though unable to read their words, felt the change in the air. Through the glass door, she saw faces filled not with malice, but compassion. It was as though her tears had stirred something deep within the community. Her pup's suffering had become more than a story of cruelty. It had become a call to protect, to care, and to remember that even the smallest life deserves love. At last, the clinic door opened, and the vet emerged with a tired smile. "He's going to make it," she said softly. The mother dog leapt forward, tail wagging, eyes brimming with tears of relief. Moments later, her pup was placed gently before her, stitched and fragile, but alive. She licked his wounds tenderly, her cries no longer filled with sorrow but with gratitude. Around them, the townspeople watched in silence, moved by the sight. What began as a story of cruelty had become one of resilience and love, a reminder that even broken hearts can heal when compassion answers pain.